and welcome to Creating for Grace. Today we're going to create this Zfold card. It opens just like this, and so when it stands you can see that it has some layers and some depth to it. Place to write, both sides, and I don't know if you can actually, looking down, see that, but that is what it's going to stand like. We use the Pop of Pink Designer Series paper, and the first cut that you're going to have, you're going to choose the paper that you're going to use, and you're going to cut it at 5.5 by 10.5. So you're going to turn it sideways and use the scoring blade. That is the light gray. We're going to score at the 4-inch mark. And then we're going to move that forward. We're going to score again at the 4-inch mark. And so that's going to give you 2 scores that are here. And I think I've talked about it before. When you are folding any kind of paper, one of the really undervalued tools is the bone folder. It gives you some really crisp edges and really helps you to line up your paper correctly. So when you have your folds there, I'm going to give that a crisp edge, just like that. And you want your part that you're going to want forward, you're going to make sure you're going to cut this correctly. And so pretty much what I did is I eyeballed it. I'm going to try and center this here so you can see it. I'm going to start just about the top of this to make my cut, and you're really going to want it to be about 3 inches in height. And so honestly, I'm just going to eyeball that, or if you really want to be technical, you can grab yourself a ruler and it would be about there. So if you're wanting it to be at just about that 3-inch height, then that's where you're going to want your cut at. And so that's really going to put your point at about the 3-inch, and you want your high point to be right about there. So you're going to cut from your high point and leave it about a 3-inch height right there. So that's the part you're going to cut off, so that when you have your Z-fold, you're going to have the different patterned layers just like that. So again, on the blog, I wish I could find a way to just describe what I did, but it's so much easier just to show you visually what I did. Same with the insides here. I keep a bunch of these laying around as a layer for a card front or for the sentiment on the inside of a card, and so I have a bunch that I always pre-cut at like 4 inches by 5.25. For this particular one, I left it at the 5.25 height because I knew I was going to cut that off, but I cut it down to 3 3/4. And so just like this, I'm going to eyeball that, and this is going to sound very strange, but I'm going to have an equal amount all the way around, and what I want to do is I want to cut this top off so that it's going to be even right here. So I want to double the space that I'm going to leave on the bottom here. So I'm going to have a bigger space right here, and then I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to make a little mark right here, and I'm going to make a little mark right there. And then I'm going to take my paper cutter and I'm going to line up those little marks right there and there to cut that off at that angle, so that when you go to put that back on your card, it's going to fit right inside just like that, and that's going to give you that perfect layer. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. So again, I know this isn't very technical, but it was the easiest way I could think of to show you what I do. So again, I've left that length there. I'm going to scoot it up so you have pretty much eyeballed about double the length on the bottom as on the sides. And then again, I'm going to take the little tip of the bone folder on each little corner here. So I know that if I cut right inside of there, it's going to give me just about exactly the right cut. again, just like that. So when you go to layer that, it's again going to layer, and it's going to follow your curve right there. So it'll look good. So that's it, all for the paper cutting. So we're going to get rid of that. I have pre-cut some ribbon, and so you'll notice on the inside here for the Whisper White organza, I'm just going to add, there we go, get it going. I'm going to add some adhesive, and then I'm going to pretty much eyeball, because I'm making a pretty much duplicate card and I know where I want the bow on the front. So I'm just going to cheat a little bit here. And I'm going to wrap that right around there. Then what I like to do is add more adhesive. So I like to put the ribbon down first, and then add adhesive all the way around, particularly where you have that ribbon anchored. And then for that inside fold, I am just going to eyeball this and line that up all the way around. So for the balloons, I actually pre-punched them. They're all out of the Pop-Up Pink paper set. I've got some of the gold foil circles. This is the balloon builder punch right here. So some of the balloons that I did were smaller, some are the larger size, and then I pretty much knew how I wanted it laid out. When you're doing this, I think the easiest way is to kind of assemble your balloons, and you're pretty much looking at how they're going to look when they are layered together like this. And that's pretty much how I did my original balloon placement. And then what I find the easiest is to take whatever the bottom layer is, I add some adhesive, and I layer my balloons up from the bottom. And then I know that it's going to go right across the top of this. So if I add a layer of adhesive just like this, and I can add a little bit right on the bottoms of the balloons, I know I'm not going to go off anywhere. Now, one of the things that you do want to think about when you're putting together a Z-fold card is it fitting inside the envelope. And so if you have, this is the envelope that it's going to need to fit in, so you're going to know you do not want your balloons going above the point on the envelope there. And so when you put your decorative part, whether it's balloons or I've seen birthday candles and flowers and just all kinds of things on there, that's the one thing you want to be careful of when you are doing your adhesive down for that. So for your second layer, again, I had pre-done some balloons here, knew pretty much where I wanted them to be, and so again, I am just going to add some adhesive right there. Again, with the ribbon on the inside, Whisper White organza, and since that's cut at 3 3/4, I'm going to take a piece of 4 1/2, just the same as the other one that we just did. And this is the part on the inside. You're really not going to see it, so you don't have to line it up with anything else. So again, I'm going to put adhesive around the whole inside. And you know that that's going to be on the front there. So that's the only part that you're really wanting to line that up with. So he's going to pretty much go towards the top, just like that. Again, wrap ends around. Add some adhesive where the ribbon is, because that really holds it down well. Here's the card that we're working on. Again, we're going to center that right here. These are the balloons that we're going to put down on the inside there, just like this. And so if we know that they're going to go just about like this, we can add a little adhesive right to the bottoms of those. But you don't want to add it to the top because it's going to be sticking up above that. And so it's going to be something just like this. Again, no adhesive to hold it down. So the stamp set that we're using is the Designer Tin of Cards stamp set. It is a photopolymer stamp set, and what we found is anytime you stamp with photopolymer, it's really nice to have one of these foam pads from Stampin' Up. And it really helps you get a very clean, crisp image on that. So I've pre-mounted onto a clear block, and I'm actually going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink on here. I'm going to open that pad. We're going to add some ink, and then since it's a photopolymer, it's really easy to see through, and this one happens to say happy birthday to one fantastic person, so that's going to be really easy to line up right there. And I'm going to set that aside to dry for a minute before we adhere that on. So we're going to go back to our original card here, get rid of the foam pad. So our last piece of ribbon here is 6.5 inches long, and then I've also pre-done a bow. This one is the part that's going to wrap around that front portion. And so to make life a little bit easier, all I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some adhesive on the very end here, and then we know it's going to go about to there, and we want it to just about wrap up with the front right there. So we're going to go like that. We're going to take it around the back, and we're going to add a little more adhesive right here, and he's going to meet up with that inside portion right there. And the reason I didn't do one entire length is because it really holds your card open. You can't get that to lay down flat. So if you do it this way, it makes it a lot easier for that to lay down. For the bow, glue dots make it really easy to grab the wrong ones, to adhesive down the little knot portion of the bow. So I'm going to add a glue dot right here, and we know it is going to sit just about there on the card. So I had pre-done the 2 front balloons again, and what we're really looking for again is the way that the card is laying when you have it flat. And so again, we're just going to add some adhesive right there, and then just a little bit on the tips, because you know those are not going to be sticking up. So we're going to lay those just like that. And then this one should be dry by now, so we're going to add some adhesive to the back. I didn't pop anything up on a Z-fold. You really can to add some dimension, but for mailing, I didn't, and you're going to be able to kind of see the bottoms of the balloons a bit. So you just give it a little bit, just like that, just so it's still visible when it's open. And so this is the original one that we did, and this is the one that we just did. Again, open, and hope that was really easy to follow. I know I'm really non-technical, so anyway, go have some fun creating one and have an amazingly fantastic day. Thanks so much.